All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at a really pivotal shift happening in artificial intelligence, especially as we look towards 2026. We're moving way beyond just experimenting with AI. We're entering an era of industrial-grade execution, where this technology is starting to fundamentally reshape how real work gets done. This quote from Forrester just nails it. It perfectly captures this whole transition. AI isn't a party trick anymore. It's not some flashy toy. It's putting on a hard hat and getting integrated into the core workflows that actually run our businesses. It's becoming a tool for serious, practical work. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the big idea, this agentic shift. Then we'll see how it's changing things like information retrieval and even visual analysis. After that, we'll tackle the tough stuff, the new challenges it creates, and what it all means for us, the engineers building this future. Okay, let's get into it. What is this agentic shift, really? Well, at its core, we're moving from a conversational model, just chatting with a bot, to a delegative one. Think about it like managing a digital workforce of autonomous agents. You don't tell them how to do something, you just give them a complex goal, and they figure it out.
So what's an agentic AI? It's basically a system that can operate on its own. It's not just following some pre-written script. An agent can take a high-level goal, break it down into smaller subtasks, make its own decisions, and even change its strategy on the fly, all with very little hand-holding from a human. The key thing to remember is that this is all about taking action, not just creating content.
Now, for an agent to act intelligently, it needs the right information at exactly the right time. And this necessity has totally forced us to rethink how AI systems find and use knowledge. We're moving way beyond simple search to something much more powerful and dynamic. You've probably heard of Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG. The old way of doing it was pretty linear. Step 1, retrieve some documents. Step 2, generate an answer based on them. It was a big step forward for sure, but it really struggled with complex business tasks that need multi-step reasoning and a much deeper, more contextual grasp of information. And this table right here, it lays out a massive architectural shift. Agentic RAG isn't just a simple pipeline, it's a full-blown reasoning system. It can actually plan its approach, rewrite its own search queries if the first ones don't work, validate the information it finds, and, get this, it can even self-correct if it realizes it made a mistake. It's the difference between a simple lookup tool and a truly dynamic research assistant. And this agentic power isn't just limited to text. With something called Agentic Vision, AI can now actively investigate the visual world. It's turning image analysis from a passive, one-time glance into an active, iterative process. The secret sauce here is this think-act-observe loop. First, the agent thinks. It analyzes the goal and makes a plan. Then it acts. And this is the game-changing part. It doesn't just look at an image. It generates and executes code to inspect or manipulate it. It might run a script to zoom in, apply filter, or do complex calculations on the pixel data. Finally, it observes the results of its own actions, which refines its understanding before it takes the next step in the loop. Let's make this feel a bit more real. Think about a super common DevOps problem. A critical software build fails in the CI/CD pipeline. An engineer has to go find the root cause. Well, now an agent can do that same job using that think, act, observe loop. This is where you really see the power. The agent doesn't just read the log and make a guess. It thinks and forms a plan. Then it acts. It autonomously runs diagnostic scripts on the code itself. And finally, it observes the results, connecting the failure directly to a specific code commit. What you get is a precise diagnosis, not just some vague error message. It's incredible. Okay, here's another powerful one, self-healing tests. We all know how brittle automated tests can be, right? A simple UI change can break everything. So in this case, a test fails just because a developer changed a button's ID in a redesign. So instead of that test just sitting there broken, waiting for a human to fix it, the agentic system kicks in. It thinks, okay, the test failed, I need to find that button. Then it acts. Using Agentic Vision, it literally looks at the new UI, identifies the button by its appearance, and grabs its new ID. It then observes its own success and automatically updates the broken test script. Just like that, the test passes. The system literally heals itself. But this incredible power to automate complex work also brings some pretty serious challenges. It's creating a new kind of divide in our society and our workplaces, a huge split in skills, in access, and just in plain understanding. And this quote gets to the absolute heart of the problem.
We're quickly getting to a point where understanding these advanced AI workflows isn't optional anymore. Failing to see the shift from simple chatbots to autonomous agents is quickly becoming the new, I don't know how to use Excel. It's a fundamental gap in literacy.
And this creates a really stark divide. On one side, you have this premium class of users who are weaving agentic AI into deep strategic work. On the other side, you have a much, much larger group whose whole idea of AI is stuck on a simple, often unreliable chatbot. This isn't just a skills gap, it's a knowledge gap, and it maps directly to economic opportunity.
Which brings us to our last and honestly our most crucial point. For those of us who are actually building this technology, this knowledge gap gives us a clear mandate. We have to solve the really hard problems that come with this power so we can make sure it's used capably, efficiently, and accountably.
As engineers, we are staring down two massive hurdles. First is the inference famine, the absolutely staggering computational cost of running millions of these agents all at once. And second is the liability problem, the incredibly thorny legal and ethical question of who's on the hook when an autonomous system makes a really costly mistake.
So these systems aren't science fiction anymore. They're here, they're arriving now. The defining challenge for our field isn't just about whether we can build them, but whether we can build them right. And how we answer that question is going to define the next decade of innovation and, frankly, shape our society for a generation to come.